Welcome everybody to Quake Pro League, where today I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by DaHanG. So you've consistently been one of the strongest players in the league, currently sitting in 5th place, but this stage we have seen you lose 2 matches. Are there any kind of issues that you're experiencing, and if so, how are you going about fixing those?
Well, it was a tough couple months leading up to the event in Poland because I had to every single other week, and sometimes more frequently, I'd have to travel for work, and then I'd come back and literally play a Quake Pro League match that Sunday, or just in general, my practice time took a bit of a hit. And now that basically the whole world's on lockdown, I'm actually able to play a little bit more readily and consistently. And so I think I'm actually improving a little bit slowly but surely to get back to a stronger form that I've been in the past.
Interesting. So can you kind of talk me through your practice regime and how it's kind of changed now that you have a little bit more time at home?
I've been focusing a lot just more on movement and aim, because I just feel a lot of the times when I'm playing games, I'm literally doing some amateur things when it comes to my movement, just running into a wall or self-damaging with a rocket launcher, things like that, where little mistakes like that really add up. So just focusing on that and making sure I'm loose and fluid with my movement leading into games, that's always been the biggest thing for me, because a lot of other top players, I just don't see them missing on a regular basis, which you're not supposed to. But with me, I'm just so streaky with my aim and mechanics. Sometimes I can just shut some people out completely and just suffocate them with map control, and then other times, they're coming at me in a straight line and I can't even hit them. So it's always been kind of just something that's been with me for my entire career. But now that I have more time to actually focus on that, I actually am seeing in my more recent practice games that I'm getting more consistent with my mechanical aspects of the play.
Well, you kind of mentioned there other sort of top players, and this week you'll be facing up against Nosfer, who's had some consistent results recently. How do you kind of approach his explosive playstyle? What do you kind of do there?
Yeah, his style reminds me a little bit of myself, where sometimes he can just do no wrong, and then other times he can do a lot wrong. So there are times where it's just this guy's an aimbot, there's nothing I can do, and so you got to approach the game assuming he's going to be like that and play your A game and try not to give him any easy shots. Just play the map. And once you can get the control, I think when I've watched some of his matches and played against him historically, I think he has a little more trouble playing from out of control than a typical Quake Pro League player. And I think he has, it's kind of high risk, high reward is the way it works with him in terms of map control. I think when he has map control, he can go a long way with it. Then when he doesn't, he isn't able to play the proper defensive style sometimes, particularly when his aim is off. So I just got to respect his aim and play the map and let things unfold.
Well, you're still the second highest ranked NA player, but during stage 1 there were just 3 NA players in the top 10, and now we currently have 5 there. Do you kind of see the gap between NA and EU closing?
Yeah, definitely I do. I see Chain, Dramas, and Sidejib in particular, and even Effortless. And I don't even want to leave out Dewey. The NA scene in general has really stepped up in the past couple months. They're grinding out practice games. They're taking Quake Pro League very seriously, and it's actually showing. Because I think Sidejib is actually very strong mechanically, and everyone is, but what I've noticed in general, and what most people will agree with, is that the European players overall have stronger aim than the NA players. And previously, NA players overall, the group of 10 of us who happened to be in the league at the time, are also just not as good at duel in general as the top 10 European players. But now I think from a strategy and just general duel mindset, we're really not that far behind overall anymore. And I think it shows now that we got 5 in the top 10. I do think the European players still pretty indisputably overall have better aim than NA players, but clearly we've been catching up, so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of mentioned his name there, but Chain, he was a thorn in your side in Poland, and you'll be playing against him in several weeks' time. Do you kind of feel like this new generation of Quake stars are a threat to you getting your name on the belt?
I mean, not yet, because actually I still see Rafa as pretty much undisputed #1 player in the world right now, and he's still the difficulty with him is like you have to beat him like presumably in a grand final. You have to beat him 4 out of 7 or 3 out of 5 depending on the actual format, and he's very tough to beat a single map, right? So I don't see the at this moment in time, I don't see the other NA players as a real threat, mainly because I think Rafa's just ahead of the game, and like we can all take a map off Rafa here or there, but it's very difficult to actually beat him in a set on LAN. So that's the way things are right now. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, just coming off of that, is it important for you to be able to get revenge over Chain for Poland?
Not really. I mean, it's on the VOD, so I was very convinced I basically beat myself. And again, it kind of came down to some key mechanical mistakes, and I think if I'm able to continue to put in the time, I should continue to improve to the point where I should be able to defeat him. But I'm not really thinking about Chain. I'm thinking about getting into #1. So whoever happens to be in my bracket, just gonna take it one game at a time, and we'll see how things unfold.
Well, I'm very excited to see this weekend's matches. Best of luck for you going forward, and thank you so much for taking the time out today to join me.
Thanks so much for having me.